Okay folks, so I'm back with another used and abused Game Boy Advance that I'm going to repair and clean up and get working again. So this one I picked up off eBay. I'm not entirely sure how much it cost. I'll have a quick look now on my computer while I talk to you about this one. It's missing a back cover. The front screen is so scratched, it's like a cat's been going at it or something daft. I do know that if I plug in some batteries, there's an issue with the power switch again. So batteries in, and again, if you look closely for the LED indicator, bring it a bit closer actually, you can see it kind of flickers on and off intermittently. So obviously there's an issue down in the power switch down in there. So we'll obviously, like last video, take that apart and give it a clean, which will most likely resolve that issue. So first thing I'm going to do, take it apart and have a look inside. I have not taken this apart yet. This one, I think I paid a total of £11 for on eBay. You can see obviously it's in quite a state. At some point I am going to replace the side bumpers here, because they are disgusting. There's chips missing, there's a discoloration, and then obviously same with the shoulder buttons. They don't feel too great. The shell itself isn't in great condition, but that could be overlooked with a bit of a cleanup. So I'm going to get into taking it apart. All the screws are out, and this is likely going to have some bits maybe that fall out, I don't know. I meant obviously like dirt and bits of wear, but I'm having a look here. I can see there's a bit of dirt on the power switch there, looks a bit funky. Let's take these bumpers off because they all need cleaning, and the same with the shoulder buttons. We'll give them a clean up. You can see obviously the colour it was compared to the colour it's become from use. There's all dirt there. Yeah, not nice. So we'll get them cleaned up. So I'm just having a look over the board. Doesn't look like there's a bit of rust on this contact here, so if we can focus, as you can see a bit of rust up here. So we'll get that cleaned up, but my suspicion lies with the on-off switch here. That is what's faulty, because it's kind of a load of dirt and grime. It's most likely got in there and it's causing the issues. So I'm going to take this board out. I'm going to disconnect this ribbon cable for the screen. In fact, we need to take the screws out first. So I need the Phillips, yep. Okay, so it should lift up. It's always good when the silicone pads stick to the board. Obviously they're going to get, cleaned as well. That is actually quite disgusting. Kind of expected though, to be honest. It's a handheld console that's been used for quite a number of years. You know, humans aren't inherently clean, but that does mean all the dirt and the grime ends up on devices like these, and obviously in the speaker grill. It's quite hard to see on camera maybe, but there is so much dirt in there, it's kind of discoloured. And again with the directional pad, start and select, you can see it in there, so that's going to get a thorough cleaning. And I said before, this screen's coming off, but before I get into that, I want to get to the board and make sure that the board is fully working and that it will boot up and read games. I've not yet tried to read any games because obviously it can't, it wouldn't boot up, and that's what I'm going to fix first. So here, I'll put the volume up as loud as it'll go. I think there might be an issue with the speaker, it doesn't sound too great. The battery's in, and if I slide it over, it comes straight on, and you can hear it boot up, and that's pretty much every time I turn it on. So what I'm going to do is, instead of taking that switch apart, because it seems to be a lot better than the previous one, and it may have just moved a bit of the dirt that was causing it to have a weak contact. Instead of taking it apart and cleaning that, I'm just going to drop some isopropyl alcohol in there and just give it a wiggle, and hopefully that will get rid of some of the dirt that's in there and prevent it from having an issue in the future. So just a cotton bud of isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to drop it onto the switch, slide it back and forth, and just dab it on there so it kind of draws in, and then just back and forward a couple times. And then I'm just going to clean around the area anyway, whilst I'm here with a bit of IPA. We'll give the contacts a bit of a clean here. And obviously from the video just, you could see the contacts aren't the issue, but it's always good to give them just a nice clean. Obviously this entire back plate is going to be cleaned anyway. It's going to have all the dirt removed from it later on. So I'm pretty happy with this at the moment in terms of the on-off switch. Obviously I'll let that dry out for as long as possible. So I'm happy with the board. I haven't tested a game yet. What I'll probably do is, yeah, we'll go ahead and test a game now. So I'm going to put it back together, only just held together, not going to bother putting any screws in. Let's go ahead and give this a try. Pretty confident the game itself works, so if there's any issues. Okay, so there's a bit of, the Nintendo logo's corrupt there, so what we'll do is turn this off. I'll give it a couple of okay. Obviously with how filthy the outside of this console is, there we go. So you can see the Nintendo logos come up, and it boots into the game. Obviously I've not got any buttons to press, and this is the sound. Okay, happy with that. So we've got the power switch sorted. I will probably give the contacts in the console a bit of a clean anyway, because just putting in a cartridge and just slot it in and out to rub the contacts isn't the final solution for anything like this. It just means it's going to probably crop up in the future. So let's take this apart, and now what we're going to do is I'm going to have to remove this front screen. Okay, so I need to remove the screen, so we'll set the board aside. What I want to do is I'm going to replace the front lens, because that's heavily scratched. You can probably see there from the video. But what I want to do is there's a there's obviously an adhesive to keep it on. I want to keep that attached to the screen itself, because I don't want to take that then and put it underwater and cause any issues. So I'm going to try and remove this as a whole, as a unit. Okay, just give it a twist corner to corner, and I'm trying to get under it. I don't want to pull with the ribbon cable too hard because I don't want the ribbon cable to break. So it's coming away slowly. You can see there the adhesive is wanting to come with it, wanting to stay. Obviously it's not meant to come apart, so I'm going to try and keep it on the LCD itself. So as I peel this back, I want to peel it off of the front panel. There we go. Try and keep this on as properly as it is. Okay, so that's the screen removed. Now that's not sitting quite as straight as it was when it was come out of the factory, but that's just the nature of taking it apart. So I'm going to try and shimmy that over at some point, but I'm going to set that to the side because now we're left with the shell, and I just need to pop out this front lens. So that seems to be quite rigid. I'm just going to have to push it out with my fingers because this is getting chucked. So I'm not too fussed if it did break. Okay. So I've removed it completely, and now we can take this piece. What I'll probably do is take off the metal shielding and pop out the terminals there, just so that everything is completely separate and we can clean with a lot more ease. So I'm going to take off the shielding here. Okay, there we go. So a quick look at this condition of this. There's a bit of rust there, but it looks, to be honest, in perfectly fine condition. I probably won't bother cleaning this because it's metal. There's no dirt on it whatsoever. It's just the outer shells that need cleaning. So I'm going to try and pop this terminal out. I'm sure you just kind of push it through from this side. Probably not twice. Do it with a Phillips. Let's get a flathead. Oh, there we go. I think I was trying to do it at an angle, so that's the contact. We'll probably give that a brush up anyway, separate. But now have the all the pieces completely separate. Main thing being these grubby buttons and silicone pads. I could replace them, but it's not that much of a job to clean them. I'm trying to remove some of the adhesive left here, so when I put down the new front panel, it's the new lens, it's going to be sticking with full coverage. There's not going to be anything trying to interfere with the new adhesive. Right, so we'll go ahead and switch over to where my sink is. So what I want to do now is and I've gone over with a cotton bud just to clear, just to dry some areas, and there's still lots of dirt left. So I'm going to get another one, and I'm just going to put some IPA on it so that when I'm going over areas, it's going to lift the dirt and pull it away. Now the main thing I want to focus on is where the A and B button is and the D-pad, because I couldn't quite get the toothbrush in to properly scrub those areas, and also the start and select button. This is where there's a lot of dirt still, this is where it gets caked on, and it's being constantly rubbed and squashed and kind of ground into the plastic. So you can see already, it's, well, I can see clearly anyway, I don't know about the quality on the camera, just from kind of swirling it around in the slots where these buttons would go, it's still pulling dirt off. So at it and just gently try and scrape away at it, but it doesn't seem to be moving too easily, so I might just leave it and see how it goes, sticking on the new screen, which I've got ready to go on in a few seconds. So that's the front panel, front part of the case. There's still kind of like areas where, like on the speaker, you can see it's kind of discolored. It's weird where dirt is sat. I've gone over it the best I can with the toothbrush, let it soak in the water, and then some IPA as well, just trying to get the last little bits of dirt, but it's probably at this stage maybe just coated the plastic really, as opposed to just having a layer of dirt still on it. So that's the front piece done. These side bits, the bumpers, when it does focus, you can still see, there we go, there's some heavy discoloration here. So in the future I will be replacing these, because these have also got like a dent going on there where it's probably been dropped. So I'll be replacing these at some point in the future, along with all the other buttons. But whilst I had it open, I may as well give it a clean, ready for when it goes back together. So next thing I'm going to do is apply the new lens. So this is the old one, very heavily scratched, as you can see there. Not good. I ordered this from Deadpan Robot. These seem to be the best in the UK in terms of parts for retro game consoles, so specifically Game Boys. I think this is a £5. It's a glass one with a holographic Gameboy Advance logo, which the original doesn't have, just plain white. I think this looks better, and it's glass, so it's a lot tougher. So we're going to apply this as well. So I'll probably leave this front bit on for now. That's the adhesive to take off. So then when this comes off now, it should be adhesive underneath. Yes, it is. And so we'll just make sure no dirt gets on it, and just slot it in place. It's quite a tight, snug fit. That seems to have done it. Okay, it probably seems a bit of a waste. Some people may comment this. I'm just going to put the lid back on some of these bottles. It may seem a waste to put a brand new glass lens on this kind of shitty looking shell. It's not too bad, to be fair. I don't know why I was so harsh. Obviously the bumpers are going to get replaced. It doesn't look too bad. The discoloration isn't too obvious. I brought it kind of a bit better back to life. This area down here, you can see, even if I don't have my hand there, there's like a yellow browny tint to it. But I tell you what does steal the show, this front lens, like the reflection and that holographic Game Boy Advance logo is absolutely amazing. So link in the description if you want to get your own replacement screens for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, obviously all the different Game Boys that are out there. It's not an affiliate link, it's just going to be a link in the description. This is where I buy a lot of the parts from. So now I want to get the screen back in place. So off camera earlier, while I was waiting for things to dry, I kind of just repositioned the adhesive around the edge, and I'm just going to make sure. I might have to get a cotton bud here and a tiny bit of IPA, because I want to get rid of all the potential bits of dust off this screen. So just dab most of the excess off there. I can see there is a little speck or two here or there, so I'm just going to kind of wipe at it to try and lift it off. That seems to be not doing a bad job. There's still an issue over here. Go over it a couple more times, but I think that should be okay. So whilst there's no dust on it at the moment, I'm going to take the screen and just slot it back into place. Then just press it against around the edges. And to be honest, that adhesive should keep it there now really for quite some time. There's no chance of it falling off in the case, because everything's quite flush up against it. So let's just see where we're up to now. So I need to put this terminal back in. I had a quick look at it. It doesn't need cleaning, to be honest. It's in very good shape, so I'm going to slot that back into the rear. I think this was the way it sat, or did it? Yeah, it went that way. Okay, this should click back into place at some point. I think that's in. Yeah, that ain't coming out. The sticker stayed on quite well, despite being in the water and soaking in for a bit and being scrubbed. Sticker stayed on, so that's perfectly fine. Obviously the buttons and the shoulder bumpers and the side bumpers are going to be replaced at some point, but that doesn't really matter right now. We're going to put it all back together. Let's get the shielding back on. Confident that all these buttons will have dried by now, even after going over it with some IPA. Let's get the shielding back on. So I'm going to leave the rest of the screws for now because they need a bit of clean. I'm just going to clean the heads with some white vinegar and then some IPA, which the lids on these. It's back together, all back together. It doesn't look half as bad as it did before in terms of the gunk in areas. All the buttons, the side bumpers, and all the rest of the buttons are going to get replaced. I will replace them. I'm probably going to leave the shell as it is because it's in pretty nice condition, to be fair. I know there's a lot of scratches and there's better condition out there, but in all honesty, what will really make the difference for this is replace bumpers and the rest of them. So let's slap some batteries in and put a game in and boot it up and see what happens. So tell you what, I'm just gonna, I also have a replacement battery case. There we go. It's slightly miscoloured, but it's fine. I'm really not that fussed. Switches on. Sounds a bit weird. I'll look into that into the future, but for now the sound works, and it's not so bad that it's any issue. Stick in a game. I don't know why I took the back cover off. Bizarre. Okay. Okay, so up and down works, A works. Let's see if Left and right works. Let's try start. Yep. Select, obviously I don't think I can test that in this menu system. We'll try the bumpers in the game. So bumpers works. Yep. These feel a bit loose, but maybe it's because I haven't got the screws in to really hold it, pull it together. So now I'm confident and I'm happy that the game works. Remove the batteries for now. And then we'll finish putting it back together with all the screws. So I need to just set that to the side for a second. It does feel like it's wanting to fall apart with only one screw in. So I'm going to set that down. Yep, so they're pretty much nice and clean now. They should be a lot better going into the console. So let's bring it back, and one by one. Hopefully these are dry enough anyway. Yep. Let's get the tri-wing on. They feel a lot better screwing in this time around. Sorry about that. My camera actually ran out of space, so I'm going to try and finish this off real quick. Last couple of screws, but that is pretty much the end of this video. Again, this cost me £11 off eBay. As far as I'm aware, the shipping was around £3 to £4, and I won it for like just over £5, I think. Maybe £6. I'm not entirely sure what this cost. I've had it a while. I've just been waiting for parts to become available and getting a new screen and a backing. Oh, I've already got one in there. And a new battery compartment lid. So finally got around to doing it. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Obviously I'm doing as many of these as I can. I can find broken ones off eBay to try and get better, learn, and fix up old Game Boys, because why not? It's fun. So we've seen it work, but this will just finish off the video. All back together. Perfect. Loving this screen as well. The holographic logo is amazing. So thanks for watching this video. If you have any comments, suggestions, critique, leave them in the description, leave them in the comment section for me. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.